Hello, hockey fans. Austin here with today's playoff preview between the Los Angeles Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. We are finally here. The Stanley Cup playoffs have begun. It's already started with a bang. If you watched that Winnipeg game yesterday, big comeback for the Jets. If you watched the Avs and Stars, huge game for Blackwood and net for the Colorado Avalanche as they have a 1-0 series lead on the Dallas Stars. Now, we are not talking about those series, though. We are talking about the fourth straight matchup in round one between the Los Angeles Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. And, I mean, I look at what the pundits are saying. I look at what fans are saying online. I look at the comments section on not only my own videos, but other videos around the NHL YouTube sphere. And I think people are sleeping on the Edmonton Oilers just a little bit. And I think that's a good thing. Every single year, it seems like the pundits, the experts, fans, everyone's like, this is the year Edmonton's going on their run. And then there's that pressure to perform, and then they don't, and then we're all laughed at, and the memes are made. But this might be one of those situations where there is a chip on the Edmonton Oilers' shoulders. And with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl both projecting to play in Game 1, I'm sorry. It is really hard to bet against those two. However, I am going to do my due diligence. I am going to make sure that I talk about the LA Kings, things that they can do to stop the Edmonton Oilers and finally come out on top. I'm going to be talking about the Oilers, of course. We will be going over the projected lineups for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm going to be going over the keys to the series, not just keys to the game, the keys to the series, things that each team can do to come out on top against each other. I will be taking a look at the playoff stats, or I guess the regular season stats, but I will be breaking down the stats of both teams, and then I will come to my conclusion on who I'm picking in round one. And let's get right to it, guys. I am so excited for this series. Now, the season series did not go the Oilers' way. Historically, not only have the Oilers had a lot of success against LA in the playoffs, but they've also had a lot of success against them in the regular season. But that's a different story this year. The LA Kings won 3 of the 4 matchups head-to-head this season. The only 2 games where McDavid and Draisaitl were healthy and in the lineup were in the first 2 matchups. That first one, the Oilers blew a third-period lead and lost in overtime. The second game I happened to go to back in January, the Oilers won 1-0 off of a goal by Connor McDavid, assisted by Draisaitl. And of course, Stuart Skinner had probably his best game of the entire season with the shutout, and that is going to be a huge X factor in this series because Darcy Kuemper is the better goaltender for the Kings. He is the better goaltender. He has consistently been very good all season long. Now, if we take a look at Stu Skinner's stats this season, 26, 18, and 4 with an .896 save percentage. However, he did end the season after being bumped in the head a few times. He had a couple weeks off. He only gave up 1 goal in his final 2 starts, and the Oilers defensively played very good in front of him. Limited a lot of chances, and yes, it was against the San Jose Sharks, but they did win in Winnipeg, and Winnipeg is one of the best home ice teams in the entire NHL. The only team that has a better winning percentage than the Winnipeg Jets at home is the Los Angeles Kings. Now, LA lost their final game of the season to Calgary, but I don't think LA had a whole lot to play for. They had already had home ice locked up. Calgary, they were eliminated from the playoffs, but they had a lot of young kids in the lineup making their NHL debuts, including Zane Parik, who is unbelievable, by the way. But Darcy Kuemper finished the year with a .202 goals against average and a .922 save percentage with 5 shutouts. He had a terrific season for the Los Angeles Kings, and I would be absolutely shocked if David Rittich sees any time in the series unless Darcy Kuemper, for some reason, just completely collapses, but I cannot see that happening. When we take a look at the Los Angeles Kings forward group, something that sticks out a lot to me is the fact that there is no high-end skill here. There's nobody that truly is way ahead of the pack when it comes to production. They do things by committee in LA, and they're gonna have to be by committee to beat the Edmonton Oilers. The LA Kings have phenomenal depth up and down their lineup. They have guys that can make you pay. Warren Foegele, 24 goals this season, former Oiler, and a +36 rating. That actually leads all Los Angeles Kings this season. That is an unbelievable stat. Warren Foegele, I know a lot of Oilers fans at the time were okay with him leaving in free agency, but I think because of the other players that Edmonton lost, like Broberg and Holloway, it stings to see other former Oilers have a lot of success, and it sucks to have to go up against them. However, in good news, Foegele didn't produce a whole lot in the playoffs for Edmonton. Hopefully he doesn't produce a whole lot for the Kings as an Oilers fan. Now, Kevin Fiala and Adrian Kempe, they both led the team in goals with 35 apiece. Kempe is an Oilers killer. He is absolutely unbelievable against Edmonton every single year. He finds a way to score big goals in big moments. This is a player that Edmonton has had a lot of trouble stopping, and it's going to be even tougher this season. And then, of course, the Quinton Byfield factor. He's another year older, another year better. He is dynamic. I would consider Quinton Byfield probably their most dynamic forward, the forward that is going to be the toughest to slow down because of his size and his speed. And as long as Edmonton is playing fairly, because I want both teams to play hard, physical, nasty hockey. I don't want to see cross-checks to the back of players' heads in vulnerable positions. That is not what I am here for. Kings fans, if you're tuning in, you understand what I'm saying. I want to see a best on best. I want to see who comes out on top in the fourth straight matchup between these two. Now, there's a slight issue here for LA's forward group. Not a big issue, only slight. And it is the ages of their forwards like Anze Kopitar and Philip Danault. They're not like super old. It's not like they're ineffective. But over the grind of a playoff series, can those two, because those are their top two centers, are they going to be able to handle Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid shift after shift the longer the series goes? The LA Kings, if they're going to come out on top against the Oilers, they're going to have to take them out in 4 or 5, maybe 6 games max. If this series goes 7, I think the wear and tear on some of their older forwards that they rely on for defense, it's going to be really, really tough, in my opinion. Just as an Oilers fan, that would be a tough situation. If we take a look at their defensive group, Brandt Clark with 33 points this season. Gavrikov had a terrific year for the Kings. He led their defensive core with a plus 26 rating. They have Spence. They have Mikey Anderson, of course, who has history with Leon Draisaitl from 2022. They have Edmondson, big body in front. Drew Doughty, of course, he missed the bulk of the season, came back right before the Four Nations, and then has not looked back since. And again, this is another player that is aging, getting older. Can a player like Doughty, with all of his experience, his Stanley Cup championships, can he handle the grind of a physical series between these two teams? Now, the Oilers are not a super physical team, but we're going to talk about some players that might be jumping into that lineup that will have a physical impact. And then, of course, here's Darcy Kemper as well. .922 save percentage, 202 goals against. Now, we take a look at the Oilers. They are not a young team either. The Kings have a little bit more youth, a little bit more skill in their forward group. The Oilers, guys like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I know he's only 31, 32, but he did have a down year for his standards, only 49 points. Zach Hyman, 27 goals, a huge regression from the year before. And the biggest worry for Edmonton's forwards, of course, is their health. How healthy are they? And are they going to be able to stay healthy throughout the grind of this series? The Kings are the more physical team. They are the bigger team. They're the heavier team, and they are going to try and punish Edmonton every chance they get. The Oilers' chances of winning will increase exponentially as long as they manage the puck well and can limit those rush chances against. Of course, there's a potential X factor here with Jeff Skinner. He played his best hockey towards the end of the season because Chris Knobloch actually trusted him for once, and this is the first time he has ever played in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He probably has a chip on his shoulder. He has something to prove, not only to himself, but to this organization who gave him a chance in free agency. First time he's ever been able to play a playoff game in his entire career, over 1,000 games. Keep an eye on Jeff Skinner this season. Of course, Draisaitl led the league with goals, 52. Connor McDavid, he finished the year with 100 points. And for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, there was a large portion of the final month of the season, month and a half or so, where one or the other were not in the lineup, and in some cases, both were not in the lineup. The last two matchups that LA played Edmonton in the regular season, McDavid and Draisaitl were both missing, and the Oilers got shut out both games. So, as long as both players are in Edmonton's lineup, the Oilers have a fighter's chance right now. If you take a look at the Oilers' defensive core, Evan Bouchard led the defensive group in points. He also led in plus minus. There's always a lot of narratives about Bouchard and his defensive play. He had a bit of a down year in terms of the goal scoring department, but I do think Evan Bouchard, if he plays like he did in the playoffs last year, the team is in good hands. They picked up Jake Wallman at the trade deadline because of Matthias Ekholm's uncertainty. I do think Ekholm was dealing with something throughout the year. I think they picked up Wallman as a contingency plan, and I don't think they expected Ekholm to get as hurt as he ended up. And for Ekholm, he will not play in round one, and that is a massive, massive blow to Edmonton's defensive core. But Brett Kulak arguably had his best season as an Oiler. Darnell Nurse is rejuvenated, his best year in a long time for the Oilers. Ty Emberson, a young defenseman here for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll see how he can handle playoff pressure. Troy Stetcher probably not playing in round one. We're not sure, though. John Klingberg, I hope, is not playing in round one. Josh Brown could play in round one, which would be really scary, but we'll have to see. Now, let's take a look at the projected lineups for the Edmonton Oilers for this series against the Kings. This was at practice today, so April 20th. By the way, happy Easter, everybody. Zach Hyman with Connor McDavid and Connor Brown on line one. This is an interesting one because in the stretch run to the end of the year, it was Jeff Skinner with Connor McDavid and Connor Brown. But in this situation, they have bumped Jeff Skinner off that top line to put Zach Hyman back up there. Now, Oilers fans are very... we're passionate, we're emotional, we're reactive. I am also reactive. I am not immune to that. A lot of fans wanted Jeff Skinner to stay on that top line with McDavid and Brown. They had chemistry. They were driving play. The expected goals percentage was very, very good. However, I am going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. Zach Hyman was tested on the second and the third line for a couple weeks this season. I'd say 3 or 4 weeks. There were times where he was not on that top line, and he was not effective. Zach Hyman is a good complementary player, good along the boards, parks his butt in front of the net, and he bangs in rebounds and tries to tip the puck in the net. He needs a play driver beside him. He needs someone that can control the puck, get the zone entries, and find him. He is not a player that you want carrying the puck. He is not a player that you want retrieving the puck too often, and he's not a player that you want passing the puck around because he's not very good at those things. What he's good at is getting his body in lanes, being a little bit physical along the boards, winning battles, and then getting into open space. And Connor McDavid complements him very well. You need Hyman. If you want Hyman to produce, him and McDavid, they have previous chemistry together. Historically, they do produce well. I don't mind this at all. My big problem here is if Connor Brown ends up staying on line one. That's an interesting situation. Now, when we take a look at this lineup as a whole, I don't think this is going to be the actual game one lines. I don't think this is how things are going to look, but I'm still going to talk about it as if they are. But when we look at the extra forwards, there's a lot to talk about with them. Podkolzin with Draisaitl and Arvidsson. This line was very, very effective all season long in the expected goal scoring department. Podkolzin and Draisaitl and Arvidsson have a lot of chemistry. It is a very effective line. Podkolzin is very, very good at the physicality. He's the most physical forward on this team, and they are going to rely on him for that toughness, that physicality, and puck retrievals. Leon Draisaitl, he's good at slowing the game down. He's going to try and force LA Kings. He's going to bait them. He's going to bait at least one or two to come at him, and then hopefully he can find Arvidsson in some open spots. Arvidsson has a hell of a shot. He can pick corners like nobody else, and he's going up against his former team. Chip on his shoulder as well. We'll see how effective he is. Third line, Jeff Skinner with Nugent Hopkins and Kasperi Kapanen. On paper, not a terrible line. And then the fourth line, Matthias Janmark, Adam Henrique, and Corey Perry. If it weren't for Janmark, that would be the slowest line in the entire NHL. My God. But Corey Perry, rejuvenated season for him at almost 40 years old, 19 goals. The extra forwards that have not taken line rushes at practice so far. Evander Kane, we're going to start with him. Evander Kane has not played all season long. They utilized his LTIR space all season to get guys like Wallman. They picked up Klingberg. They made some moves with that LTIR. They knew he wasn't going to play all year. Evander Kane, by the sounds of it, is healthy enough to play, but for some reason, he's not rotating in the lines right now. I think what we're seeing on the screen here, I think Chris Knobloch is playing a little bit of 4D chess. I do think Evander Kane and Trent Frederic are both going to play in Game 1. I do expect both of them in the lineup for Game 1, and I expect them to have an immediate impact. Evander Kane is going to be shot out of a cannon. He has historically scored and produced well in the playoffs, and I'm excited to see what his impact could be. He is the X factor for Edmonton if he's ready to go. He is somebody that is going to be tough to stop. He has been waiting all year to get into this lineup, and as long as he is playing within the rules, I'm very worried that he's going to go out there and take a penalty on his first shift because that adrenaline, and he's just going to be roaring to get somebody. Evander Kane, keep an eye on him. I think Connor Brown on line 1 is a placeholder for Evander Kane. That's just my opinion. I might be big braining this one, but I do think Connor Brown is a placeholder for Evander Kane. And Trent Frederic, I think Janmark is a placeholder for him. Now, it would be tough to take Janmark out of this lineup completely because of how effective he is on the penalty kill and his speed. The Oilers already don't have a lot of speed. Adding Evander Kane does not add speed, but it does add a scoring touch. Evander Kane can put the puck in the net, and that is going to be hugely, hugely important in this series. Trent Frederic, he does have some speed, but we're not sure at the status of that high ankle sprain. He might be able to play, but how fast is he going to be able to be moving out there? So it'll be interesting, but I do believe Kane will sub in for Brown. Brown will be moved down the lineup. Do you want Corey Perry in this lineup? Do we want Corey Perry in this lineup as an Oilers fan? Can he handle the playoff pressure and speed? We're going to have to find out. And then, of course, the other extra forwards, Max Jones and Derek Ryan. Those two players I don't expect to see at all this series unless there are a ton of injuries, which, knock on wood, crossing my fingers, I hope that doesn't happen. When it comes to the defense pairings, you have Nurse with Bouchard. Makes sense. They have played well together in limited minutes. I like the look of it. Nurse, he can utilize his foot speed to skate out of trouble. Bouchard, great first outlet pass out of the zone. Second pair, Wallman with Emberson. I like the look of that pair as well. You may see Nurse with Wallman too in certain instances. And then you have Kulak with Brown. Josh Brown, please, I don't want him in this lineup. If Klingberg is good to go, I would rather Klingberg in the lineup over Brown. I want Dineen in this lineup over Brown, but right now it looks like Cam Dineen is the extra man. I would prefer to see him in there. And then, of course, Edmonton's starting goaltender, Stuart Skinner. Now let's get to the keys of the series. How can each team maximize potential and find a way to win? For the Edmonton Oilers first, number 1, the power play. The Oilers have a better power play, and historically in the postseason, doesn't matter how good the Kings penalty kill is, the Oilers have made the Kings pay on the power play. The Oilers will have McDavid and Draisaitl back in the lineup, and those two are going to be wanting to rip it into the net. Both players, I think this power play is going to have a shooting mentality. The Kings all season long have had a terrific penalty kill, one of the best in the entire NHL. But for Edmonton, if they're going to have success, that power play has to be effective, at least 30-35% to get by the Kings, because 5-on-5 scoring is going to be much, much more difficult for Edmonton. Number 2, the McDry factor. The McDavid and Draisaitl factor is key for Edmonton. If they are near 100%, it is very, very difficult to bet against those two specifically. They are the two best players in the world, and it is tough to ask the LA Kings and some of their older centermen with a bit of wear and tear, not a lot, a little bit though, to handle them every single night in a 7-game series. They might be able to do it for a couple games, but eventually the dam is going to burst with those two. McDavid and Draisaitl historically produce a ton against LA in the playoffs. There is a mental factor. If McDavid and Draisaitl start getting hot very early in game 1, if they each get a couple points, the mental factor will sink in for the LA Kings, and it will not be good for them. And number 3, the Oilers are going to need depth scoring. They have struggled with depth all season long. They have been a high-end scoring team for a long time. This year, the scoring has dipped. Zach Hyman regressed. Nugent Hopkins didn't have the year that we were expecting. Jeff Skinner didn't get as much ice time as we were hoping. Victor Arvidsson didn't produce the way we thought he would. A lot of question marks with the Oilers' depth. But Their depth takes a huge boost if Evander Kane is in this lineup. Guys like Trent Frederick can also produce if Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner and Podkolzin, if he can get going. If guys that didn't score much throughout the season can find a way to, bring back their historical trends that they have been used to playing throughout their careers, Edmonton has a fighter's chance here. Now, for the LA Kings, their keys to this series, this is massive for them, the home ice advantage. This is the first time in 4 years that the LA Kings will have home ice advantage, and they have to take advantage of it, because if the Edmonton Oilers go into Los Angeles and split the first 2 games, the Oilers are a good home team, not an amazing home team. They're a good home team. But the LA Kings are a bad road team. The Kings were under 500 on the road. The LA Kings have to take advantage of home ice. They have to win games 1 and 2, in my opinion, to win this series. If they don't do that, I don't know if they come out on top. Number 2, the penalty kill. If the power play is a key to the series for Edmonton, the penalty kill is a key to the series for the Los Angeles Kings. Last year, they were one of the best penalty killing teams, but they gave up a ton of power play goals to Edmonton. The Oilers had a 45% power play percentage last season in the playoffs against LA. If LA has a chance to win this series, and they do have a great chance, this might be their best opportunity in the McDavid Draisaitl era when these two teams go against each other. That penalty kill has to lock in. And of course, the third key is going to come down to goaltending. Darcy Kemper is the better goaltender. The Oilers, big question mark in net. That might be the biggest question mark. Not even the depth scoring for Edmonton. It's the goaltending. We know Darcy Kemper is not going to be giving up 3 or more goals very often. For Edmonton, they have to get the goaltending. They have to get the stops from Stuart Skinner that he's supposed to make, and they have to get the saves that he's not supposed to make and give them a chance, especially in game 1, because the Kings, home ice, they're going to be ready to go. They're going to be looking to assert themselves. Goaltending is a massive key in this series for the Kings. Now, when it comes to players to watch in this series for Edmonton, number 1, Evander Kane. I already talked at length about him. I won't talk too much more for obvious reasons. Number 2, Leon Draisaitl. Leon Draisaitl is a playoff monster. He's a beast, especially against Los Angeles. Keep an eye on him. And number 3, of course, Stuart Skinner for the Oilers. If Stuart Skinner fumbles early, they're going to have to go to Calvin Pickard, and then I don't even trust Calvin Pickard that much either. Skinner has to be the guy. Take the reins. Take that rope. Pull the team with you. Show the team that you have what it takes this year, Stu. And then for Los Angeles, their players to watch in this series. Number 1, Adrian Kempe. Also talked at length about him, how much he produces against the Oilers. Number 2 is Quinton Byfield. His mix of size, speed, and skill, he is going to be tough for Edmonton's defenders to slow down. And then number 3, of course, Darcy Kemper, their goaltender, because of how much better he is than Stuart Skinner. It's going to be an interesting series. The Kings on paper have the better defense and the better goaltending, but the Oilers have the better forward group. Will it come down to defense, goaltending, special teams? We'll have to find out. Let's take a look at the stats, and then, of course, I will finally give my series prediction. If you're still watching up to this point, thank you so much. Smash that like button. It goes a long way. The Los Angeles Kings this season, 48-25-9. They finished their last 10 games 8-2. They are going into the playoffs red hot, which is a good sign for them. Their power play ranked 27th this season. Not a good power play. If the Oilers are going to the box often, I know the Kings power play isn't great, but they have good players. The Oilers cannot play with fire when it comes to the Kings power play. Their penalty kill, much better, ranks 8th. Goals per game ranks 14th. Goals against per game ranks 2nd. Expected goals for in all situations ranks 4th. They are a very good puck possession and chance generating team. Their team shooting percentage ranks 16th and their PDO ranks 8th. And if you take a look at the LA Kings, that shooting percentage is kind of middle of the pack, and their PDO, it's a little over 1. Nothing major though. Nothing that I would say is due for regression. The big issue for LA is, can they score enough? Against Stuart Skinner, I think a lot of Kings fans are probably licking their chops and being like, yes, I think we can definitely score 3 or 4 goals a game against Stu, but we'll find out. For the Edmonton Oilers, they were 48-29-5 this season, 7-3 in their last 10, which is pretty impressive because they did not have McDavid and Draisaitl in the lineup at the same time in any of those games. 2 of those 3 losses came to Los Angeles, and the Oilers were shut out in both of them. So there is a little bit of, that's where the depth scoring comes into play. McDavid and Draisaitl didn't play in those games, but that's where you need some depth to show up. The Oilers' power play, it's going into the playoffs cold. It's at 12th in the league. It's been top 10 all year, but the final few games of the season, it went cold. Their penalty kill, not bad, ranked 16th. And the Oilers, one of the main reasons they went on that cup run last year was because of how good that penalty kill was. It was historically good. We can't expect a 94% penalty kill percentage this season. If the Oilers can keep it around 80-85%, that's good enough for me. Goals per game ranks 11th. Goals against per game ranks 14th. Expected goals in all situations ranks 3rd. Team shooting percentage ranks 26th. And PDO ranks 23rd. The Oilers are a good chance-generating team. They are not a good finishing team. Will the shooting percentage regress up back to normal, back into league average territory? If it does, they're going to come out on top. If it doesn't, it's game over. The depth is not going to be there. And the Oilers PDO, it's at .992. Nothing to say that it should regress upwards. The big thing is going to actually be coming down to, can Stuart Skinner make the saves that he needs to? And can he make some stops that he's not supposed to? When it comes to the series prediction, who am I picking in this one? I'm going against the pundits. I'm going against the narratives that I'm seeing online. I am confident in the Edmonton Oilers. In fact, I'm very confident, but I'm not overconfident. The LA Kings have a terrific opportunity here. If they beat the Oilers in the first round, it will not be surprising to me. It won't. The Kings have a good team. They have a great team, but it is impossible for me to bet against a healthy McDavid, a healthy Draisaitl. They're getting reinforcements in Evander Kane. The big question mark is going to come down to defense for Edmonton and goaltending. If they can just hang on, get average, 900, 905 save percentage, I'm going to pick the Edmonton Oilers in 6. I don't think this series goes 7. If it does, the edge is to Edmonton. If this series is done in 6 or less, I guess 5 or less, the edge obviously to LA. If LA gets split at home in the first 2 games, the Oilers are winning the series. If LA wins both, if they go 2-0 at home, it's going to be a very, very tough ask for Edmonton to come back. But I am predicting the Edmonton Oilers in 6 games. That is my prediction. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for allowing me to be part of the YouTube, hockey community with Oilers fans. Yes, I am a homer. Kings fans, you're probably smashing the dislike button. You're like, this guy's a homer. Yes, I am. But I hope I was able to give good arguments for both sides, both teams, so that we have a good understanding of what to expect as fan bases for Oilers fans and Kings fans. To the Kings fans who might be tuning in, or Oilers haters, fans that are tuning in and hoping Edmonton loses and want to laugh at me, listen, I hope we have an amazing playoff series. I hope this is so much fun for everyone. I am preemptively shaking everyone's hands. Good luck, LA Kings fans. Listen, we are a positive community here. I welcome fans from other teams. I welcome Kings fans to stick around throughout this first round. I will be doing live streams of every single game. Maybe game 4, I might be in Edmonton for that one. Haven't decided yet. But if I'm not, live streams for every single game, live stream reactions. I will have a heart rate monitor. It is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. Let's go, Oilers! Tell someone that you love them. And as always, fight like a kid. Fight like Ben. We'll see you soon. We'll see you tomorrow for game 1. I can't wait.